welcome to our combat tutorial, and this time we will do some actual fighting. So first of all, we are going to wait for the enemy to come closer, and with our character over here we're gonna want to block the enemy, so we move up one tile and then put up a spear wall. A spear wall is a special skill associated with the spear, and everybody that enters within one tile of this character will get attacked and repelled automatically. Of course, it can miss, and then the enemy is close by and the spear wall is cancelled. Like so. And let's wait. Now, with the Crossbow Archer, we could already try and take a shot, but the range, you can see the highlighted tiles are the range, and there's no enemy in range. As you can see here, these tile blockers, just quickly gonna activate the view. These are blocking sidelines, so I cannot shoot here, even though if it is within the range of the weapon. So we are gonna wait and hope that the animal will come closer. They're moving up. Let's take Vendel over here, move up one tile, and also put down a spear wall, like so. Now let's wait. Now the enemy will come closer. Usually the enemy will avoid to walk into a spear wall, except for undead, because they are very stupid and they just walk into spear walls. So it can be a very legitimate tactic to use a spear wall against a horde of zombies or Wiedergängers. Now, when picking a tile to move, you will see some highlighted red hexes, and those are the zone of control. And you get a little tooltip there as well, is in the opponent's zone of control. Now, once you enter the zone of control and try to move out of it, the enemy will get a free attack on you. So once you are committed to a close combat, it's going to be very difficult to disengage. Because if the attack hits, your movement will be cancelled and the whole thing starts again. So maybe you will take a lot of damage trying to get out of combat. Same goes for the enemies, of course. Also, when you are in close combat with somebody, that character will not be able to use ranged attacks like a crossbow or a bow. So taking out ranged enemies can be a very viable tactic to just move somebody next to them and then they have to switch to their melee weapon. Talking about switching weapons, in the backpack you do have room for more weapons. I think none of my characters right here do have it, but you can put an axe or sword or anything into these slots, and then you will be able to swap in combat to get out a melee weapon, which can be very helpful. So with Rumold, let's move up into the zone of control. Now, I suppose he will get attacked by a lot of enemies, so we will pick the shield wall that increases his defenses for the next turn instead of attacking. He should make use of that very, very often. And end his turn. There you go, enemy starts moving again. Now we still have Hakon left, and I will move him over here and to intercept these two that are moving up. Let's end the turn for him. Now we have the opportunity with Rabe to fire at the enemy. When shooting at somebody, you will see a little red shield icon, and that means that somebody is in the line of fire. So we will have reduced accuracy for our shot. This can be helpful as well, because if you fire into a big group of enemies, then you might just hit any of them. So that's what we are going to do. That didn't hit, and this neither, but we will keep trying. Now we will change to Alvin, just skip the turn, and Howard still has one shot left. There are also things in the line of sight. Switch back on the tooltips. In the tooltips you can see the hit percentage. So this is 51%, and you can shoot at that. And now the crossbow is spent and we can reload it. Now that we hit an enemy, we can take a look at him, and you've seen a little icon flow onto his head, and that was a injury. So every time a character loses a percentage of hit points, there's a chance to get an injury. The injury depends on the kind of weapon. For example, piercing weapons like a crossbow can cause a pierced arm muscle injury. So these injuries can happen or can occur on your guys as well, and they will have to be taken care of after combat, and they will decrease the combat abilities of a character. And that can be very crucial part in the fight. So an injured character will usually be a lot less effective than a fresh one. So let's end the turn here. And with Vandal, I think we should move back a tile just to give a little bit more protection to this guy over here at the end of the line. Now they are moving up again. They are attacking. You can see a little icon of the skill when they are attacking. And as we put up the shield wall, the enemy only hit the shield. So no damage done. Let's wait. There was a little damage done here, but it only hit the armor, so no problem. They're moving up. Now they are in melee combat with Harvard, and that's of course a big problem for us because he cannot shoot. Now let's showcase this weapon. That is a club, and it has the ability to knock out or stun an enemy. So a stunned enemy will have to skip his next turn, and that can be a really big asset for you. And it worked, so he will lose his next turn. And let's attack this guy as well. That was a very effective turn. Next up is Harvard. Now the crossbow has the special ability to be fired in close combat, but it cannot be reloaded in close combat. Now we have a 61% chance to hit, and I think we'll take it. Very well done. We have an injured shoulder, so this brigand thug is almost done for, but he still stands. So now one more thing with shooting is that you cannot shoot through people except when standing right next to them. So you can see that here our brother's in the way of the shot. You can see the little shield icon, but when standing next to our character and shooting just over one tile, we can shoot through them, and this basically is that our character will work together with his companion to not hit him. Let's shoot him. Let's try again. We have 29% chance to hit. That is of course a rather low chance. Let's go over to the next character on the top side here. And another mechanic is surrounding. So I'm just going to move up to the enemy, and this thug now is in contact with two of our brothers. So every attack that we throw against the enemy, like so, there you can see the little green plus is the one that is thrust from the spear ability, and the other is surrounded. So that increases the chance to hit, which is now at 80%, and that is rather high. So let's take it. But the armor took all of the damage. Spears do rather little damage and are not very effective against armor. So let's go to our next character. We are going to move in here, and we have to try to get Harvard out of contact with all these enemies. Now what we can do is either try and kill this guy or push him away with a shield knockback. I think we rather try and kill him, like so. 77% chance to hit, that is decent. And he also has a pierced hand, but he didn't die. Another thing that you can see now is the little white flag. That means his morale is breaking, giving him severe combat penalties. There we go. Next character. Next up is Hakon. Now with two-handed weapons, as I explained earlier, these are very heavy. So also their attacks do a lot of damage, but also cost so much AP that you usually can only do one attack a turn. So making that one count is very important. We have 67% to hit, and we missed, which is very unfortunate. So two-handed weapons can be very effective, but you have to make sure to put them in the hands of people who don't need a shield for defense. Now we could try and move out of close combat and showcase the zone of control mechanic. Now we caught a hit, but on the second time we actually managed to break contact and get out of close combat, and so we are in safety. Let's advance the fight, taking a lot of damage over here. Enemies with a spear are of course always very dangerous. Now let's hand out some damage onto this tag, and we killed him. Killing an enemy will usually reduce the morale of his companions, so that was a very good hit indeed. There we go, dishing out more attacks. And here you can now see the effect of injuries on our character. Let's quickly go over here, take a look at Hakon, and he took a lot of damage. He took a injury, a cut arm sinew, so he does a lot less damage. And he also got 2 bleeding stacks, which will make him lose hit points every turn. So he's in a very rough spot. Now let's try and kill an enemy. Just start shooting. Rabe is not very proficient with his bow, so we don't do a lot of damage. Now with Wendell we're gonna want to put the shield wall up and try to fight back. Because he's in contact with a lot of enemies, so they will get the surround bonus as well. Now there are also permanent injuries and not only temporary ones. And permanent injuries usually occur when a character gets beaten down, so basically killed in combat. But there's a chance of that character surviving instead with a permanent injury. And in that case, that can be devastating, but there are some of these injuries that are not that bad. So you will have to live with that and decide whether to keep using that character or replace him in the next city. Now Hakon is in very rough shape. I just hope he hits this hit. And there you can see that was a hit to the head with the head flying off. And now Hakon will try to get away as far as possible from the enemy. Now let's advance the fight. We still have one character left. And try to deal some damage. There we go. It looks like we will suffer some losses in this one. And when you lose a character, like so, you can of course replace him, but everything that he had, all his equipment can be picked up again, but the character of course is lost to your cause. So as you can see, one of the enemies is fleeing now, so he will try to break contact. And this can happen to you guys as well. So a fleeing enemy will not, you can see that the big white flag, a fleeing enemy will stop fighting and will try and get away from the enemy. That was a close one. We have to reload our crossbow and we can shoot it over here. Now with ranged weapons there is a possibility that you will hit your own characters, and that is of course very nasty when that happens. Let's reload the crossbow and shoot the final enemy. Now we have won the fight. You can see a statistics screen with all the relevant statistics. You can see how many enemies were killed by this guy, how much damage done, how many experience points gained, how many hit point damage received, and also injuries. And this yellow arrow indicates a level up, so this character can increase his stats and pick a perk point. Rumold unfortunately didn't make it and is permanently killed. And Wendell, just like I said earlier, does have a permanent injury. So he was killed in battle, but he was actually not really killed off, but survived with being traumatized. That's his permanent injury. Now you also can take a look at the loot screen, and like so. And this is where we can pick up all the equipment that the enemy dropped during the fight. And this is one of the main reasons for fighting, because you want to get better armor, better gear from the enemy. And now we have fulfilled our contract, and this was the first contract that we took on. And you only have to collect your pay and get back to the city. And now you know what the basics are of the mercenary life: hiring new people, getting equipment, taking on contracts, fulfilling the contracts, and then cashing in the successful contract. And that concludes this tutorial video.